So here what we will be discussing is detection of amplitude wave. Now what happens is after traveling a very long distance, this amplitude wave loses some of its energy, or you can say loses some of its amplification. So because it has traveled a long distance, so in order to receive your signal, you need an amplifier, and then you need a receiver, and then you need a receiver. So these are the two things on theory. By book, these are the two things that you need. Now, this receiver, now before this receiver, you have a small part that is a detector. So by having this tree, you will amplify, then you will detect the symbol and then you receive. Sometimes it directly goes over here, sometimes it passes through this stage. So now what you need is you need a receiver. Now because after amplifying the signal is very low, so therefore you need a detector. Now on block diagram what you have is, say suppose this is your receiving antenna who has received your carrier wave, or you can say not carrier wave but a modulated wave, because in your modulated wave there is this carrier wave and the signal. So this is your antenna. After receiving, you need to amplify, because why? Because the signal has become very weak. This is your amplifier. After the amplification part is done, there is a IF stage. This is IF stage. Sorry, I need to draw this in the bracket over here. So after that, there is this IF stage. Now, what is IF stage? IF stage is known as the intermediate frequency. Intermediate frequency. Okay, so what is the use of this intermediate frequency? Now, the use is to facilitate further processing. That is, the carrier frequency is usually changed to a lower frequency by what is called an intermediate frequency. So the carrier frequency is changed into a lower frequency. So this carrier frequency will be changed to a lower frequency, and this is known as intermediate frequency, and this is just before your detection or detector. This is just before your detector. So after you have detected, the signal that you have received is very small, or that is, you can say that it is not usable. If you want to play this to your audience, this signal is very low. So what you need is you need a device which will amplify. Again, you need an amplifier which will amplify again this signal, and this will be your output. So these are the stages for detection of the amplitude modulated wave. So now this was just the block diagram, how step by step the amplitude wave is received. Now let's go into details about what happens internally. So now first, this is your amplitude wave. Now in order to get the signal, we have to follow this process. Say suppose this is your this is a modulated wave. Now this is undergoing a rectification. This is undergoing a rectifier. This is undergoing a rectifier. So after this, what is the work of a rectifier? The work of a rectifier is that it just makes it travel in one direction. That is only this part, only the positive part, that is only the positive y-axis remains. So this is the work of the rectifier. So after this is done, a envelope detector is being used. Sorry, pardon my pronunciation. A envelope detector, NVELOP, envelope detector. Let me use a different color. Detector. So after it has been rectified, See, this is a modulated wave. After that, this is here. Then after this, after you pass through the envelope detector, your output is there. Your output is there with the time t. So this is your output. So this is what is the whole functioning. So by this we understand how we put our signal, how we put our message into a different carrier signal, and the modulation begins. After the modulation, it is passed to a long distance where you receive the signal via antenna. Then this signal gets amplified. This signal gets amplified. Then after this signal gets amplified, it passes through the IF stage. What is the IF stage? IF stage is nothing but you reduce the carrier frequency to a lower frequency where you can easily separate this. Now after this IF stage, after this you have this detector. You have this detector who detects your signal. After this detector, you have your amplifier who amplifies the signal, and then the output is there. And the output is there. So this is what is happening inside this. Inside all this process, this is what is happening. After amplifier, it undergoes rectification. Rectification, then detection. This is detector, this is detection, then amplification, then there is the output. And this is the whole part of your communication system.